Hi, so here's the things that you need for Skirk. We have the flowers, we have, the gears, and then we have that weekly, or not weekly boss, but the, world boss. And then we have the weekly boss, and then also the talent books down there. So you guys can see all of that stuff that you need. I just would recommend start farming it now. I mean, you have a day and 20 hours, or even less than that by the time you guys see this when it's uploaded. But yeah, and, we could actually see her animations a little bit better than what we could in, the trailer. Looks very good. Oh, that's her charge attack. Okay, I was about to say, the only thing I don't see is like her charge attack isn't there, but it just literally throws her the spear at him, which is kind of cool, and it's literally just like a bang. Yeah, that'll be nice to see end game. So then we see the elemental skill here, and we do actually see damage numbers, just raw damage numbers. I mean, literally it doesn't matter though. Like, we'll look at the damage numbers, they're so low. This is not even built, supported, whatever. But typically I feel like a lot of the times we do not see that high of damage numbers, and then we'll go over this now. So this is why I only think you need to level up 2 talents. By the way, you transform. Every single character that transforms like this uses their E skill as their modifier, so you're not going to need to level up her normals normally, so make sure you don't do that. And yeah, elemental skill, when you tap it, it'll turn you basically into this form, and you'll go attack. And okay, so it wants to show us what Serpent Subtlety does. Skirk gains the special energy Serpent Subtlety, and will switch to 7-phase flash mode. So that's what this is. This is 7-phase slash or whatever. SPF, whatever. In this mode, she continuously consumes Serpent stacks, and her normal attacks will deal cryo damage. So you basically can see that. And there's a fly in my room. Okay, that's fun. Okay, so let's go ahead. How Serpent Subtlety affects combat. Enables Skirk to maintain 7 flash mode and deals continuous cryo damage. Skirk unleashes her elemental burst, Havoc Ruin, and deals instant explosive damage. How does she gain it? This is actually already really good way of displaying what this is exactly doing. So when you have Serpent Subtlety, you can either choose to do some normals, or you can choose to use your burst and I guess consume all of it or something. I don't know, because it's instant damage, right? So a little weird. We'll see how it works. But yeah, tap/hold Skirk's elemental skill. So you do that and you'll gain Serpent Subtlety. I think when iWinToLose showed in his video, you would go up against the enemy and you would use the E skill to gain stacks for Serpent Subtlety. So yeah, and then you can also absorb Void Rifts, which are created by they actually show it. Okay, Void Rifts. After triggering certain cryo-related elemental reactions, Void Rifts are generated near enemies. That is actually really good. This is like good in terms of explaining what she does. This is like, you could look at this one page and you could kind of understand what Skirk does. I feel like you kind of could. You have your 2 different playstyles with your Serpent Subtlety. Here's how you get your Serpent Subtlety, and then because Void Rifts are a completely new thing that we don't know about, they tell you this is a step up from what they normally do. Hold elemental skill, Skirk absorbs nearby Void Rifts to gain Serpent Subtlety and enters high-speed movement state. I believe we'll just see that at the very end here. And then, yeah, you can see she absorbed those there. I wish these videos did have, like, a playback thing, so that way I could, specifically show that. But, yeah, there's the hold skill. I don't know if it's going to be super good. I don't know. We'll see. And then here is her elemental burst, which looks astonishing, honestly. Genuinely amazing. There's no other way to, see that. That's just purely amazing. It's so good. Yeah. Once enough Serpent Subtlety is accumulated, Skirk can consume it all to unleash her elemental burst, Havoc Ruin, to perform rapid consecutive slashes that deal AoE cryo damage. And from iWinToLose's video, I believe this did like 1.3 million or something, just if you have the Serpent Subtlety, which is astonishingly amazing, honestly. It simply is just good. That's good. Elemental burst, Havoc Extinction. So this is a different version of it. So when you do that, okay, so what is that? Oh, so it doesn't hit the enemy. It just consumes the Void Rifts. And okay, so that's not good. We would like it to hit the enemy, right? Maybe just a little bit, but I guess it doesn't want to. So you consume the Void Rifts and you get more duration on your, E skill, I guess, if you just want to keep doing normals. That might be required, but also might not. I feel like there could be a certain mix of like, okay, one rotation, you go ahead and you use your Serpent Subtlety and, you do your burst, nuke them. Then you do your normals, gain all your Serpent Subtlety back, and then you go ahead and it's like, oh, now you can nuke them again. I feel like that could be an alternating playstyle that may be mostly effective for her. The special elemental burst can be unleashed while Skirk is in the 7-phase slash mode or flash. Ugh, this is gonna trip me up every single time. After being unleashed, Skirk will absorb Void Rifts, increasing her normal attack damage. Okay, that is interesting. So that means you're gonna want to be, so what this is basically saying is that when you use this elemental burst, because this elemental burst will be the nuke style, then you can use your E skill, right? And then you could do your normals. That'll be some decent damage. However, if you want them to do damage, extra damage, you can use your E skill before your Q skill, and then your normals will do more damage. This is certainly probably the most versatile playstyle we've had. Not necessarily in terms of team comps, but like you have two very, what seems to be very good ways of playing her. And I think it'll purely depend on the situation, which could end up being very good for people who do care about that kind of stuff. Personally, go look at my @ I don't think I'm gonna be that good at doing that stuff. Combat tutorial. Okay, combat style 1 deals high and sustained damage. So basically E skill, tap, 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 tap. All right, got it. All right, tap Skirk's elemental skill to switch to 7-phase slash. All right, we're just gonna call it 7-phase. I'm gonna skip the flash. All right, deal crowd damage via her normal attacks. Alternate by releasing the elemental burst havoc extinction. Increases normal attack damage. Absorbs void rifts to gain serpent subtlety and extend Skirk's DPS window. Charge attack can also trigger this effect. So what I'm hearing is that you probably don't want to use her E skill or her Q skill, right? Because it seems to be like if the charge attack can trigger the same exact effect, why would you not just trigger it with the charge attack and then save your burst to where you can nuke with it later on, and then you just gain a nuke. Okay. All right, sweet. All right, style 2 deals instant explosive damage. Now this, I mean, it's good, right? You do have to stack up a little bit, but you do get, it's very strong. By the way, okay, to put this in perspective, if you haven't seen Skirk's actual numbers, right? All those 800 or 8,000 damage numbers, right? All those 8,000 damage numbers, those are like 200,000 plus with a C0R1. That's how good that is, right? So every single one of those numbers there is like 200,000 plus. So that is why I'm like, oh yeah, this is a competent way to play her. And I think that is what they were going for. They want this character to be usable in many, many situations from what I can tell. And that is where I think her strength will lie. And we'll see how that may affect her rankings in terms of, number 1. Because if she's destroying every single thing in the content, right, there's no need to be like, oh, well, this character isn't like, she's, specific comparatively to Mavwika, who front loads her damage and you don't get a choice. This character, you get a choice if you want to front load her damage, right? You do get the choice. So when there are void rifts on the field, hold the elemental skill to absorb and gain serpent subtlety. So, so you hold the elemental skill and you'll gain, and then unleash Skirk's elemental burst to deal massive AoE cryo damage. So yeah, you could maybe, in a rotation, I don't know necessarily how this is going to work. It's probably going to be generating 3 void rifts immediately before you switch into Skirk, and then you'll be able to hold E skill, then Q. Well, no, wait, because we just hold E skill. So, okay, because the hold E skill doesn't put you into the 7-phase mode, right? It doesn't. So that's understandable. So you would use your hold E skill beforehand, which, that kind of ruins the whole, like, do a hybrid build of, do the Q, then the, whatever. But maybe we can, work something out. Maybe the hold skill randomly has, like, only a 2-second cooldown, and, the burst animation triggers, and that's completely fine, right? We'll have to see. The Havoc's under, 5 consecutive attacks. So this is the burst, from what I can tell. So this is the actual normal attacks. Nothing to be said about here. I mean, you could clearly see when a character's, normal attacks have this much in their passive, it's either that they're gonna multiply their normal damage or they're gonna convert into something like, Skirk has, right? So, imitates the combat style of the Foul. Produces different effects depending on whether you tap or hold. So, hold. So, both of these give you 45 Serpent stacks, but the tap switches you to 7-phase mode and will continuously move at high speed. Her interruption resistance is increased in the state. I just realized probably a massive flaw for Skirk. Yeah. So, they're mentioning interruption resistance being increased for the hold. I have no idea where that is said on this. So Skirk is She's going to be interruptible. And I'm be honest, that is the mark of a character who is not top tier, right? I flat out, when I'm using a character, if they get interrupted, my opinion of them, it's literally like an aura moment. They just lose 500, right? It's possible. We'll have to see how much it matters, because every single small enemy you'll be, destroying and freezing. However, the big enemies you can dodge easier. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll see. During this time, Skirk can control her movement direction. So this is with the hold. She can also use the skill again to end rapid movement prematurely. Okay. Skirk can consume Serpent Subtlety to maintain her 7-phase slash mode or whatever. Okay. So this is explaining Serpent Subtlety. So Serpent Subtlety, you can be consumed to maintain her 7-phase mode, or use her Elemental Burst, Havoc, Ruin. So if you have a certain amount of Serpent Subtlety, you'll be able to use Havoc Ruin, which is, a special version of the burst. Sort of like how Mavuika can use her burst at 100 stacks, but at 200, she's like way stronger, right? That's what this burst is going to be. After using her elemental skill, Havoc Warp, Skirk can gain Serpent Subtlety points, by using her elemental skill and then absorbing Void Rips. All right. When Skirk leaves the field while in 7-phase mode, or when 7-phase mode ends, her Serpent Subtlety points will be removed. Okay. Well, no, it says while in 7-phase. So, that's interesting, because you can lose your Serpent Subtlety, but at the same time, the Serpent Subtlety, it gets consumed as you're in your E-skill 7-phase mode. So how would you ever use the burst? I wonder, maybe you'd have to do it really fast, and it's a depreciation thing where it's like gain 20, but you cost 10 or something, right? It's sort of like that. Interesting. 7-phase mode. Yeah, see, you can see continuously consume Serpent Subtlety. Increases normal yep. Oh, no, it does increase her normal charge attack AoE and Skirk's interruption resistance. So hopefully this is Raiden level and Mavuika level interruption resistance. She is a character that is deserving of that. Absolutely. I feel like she is Skirk. This is a character we've been hyping up since like Tartaglia's release. I think Tartaglia had it in his lines of like, oh yeah, my master is like Skirk from day one. I'm pretty sure he had that day one in his thing, and people have been hyping this character up since, 4 years ago, right? So this character is absolutely deserving of an Archon level treatment. Absolutely, right? And a Nevi level treatment, whatever you want to call it. But hopefully that is what we see. Normal charge and plunge attacks are converted to cryo damage. It cannot be overridden by other elemental fusions. Good. Her elemental burst Havoc Ruin is converted to special elemental burst Havoc Extinction. So only when in 7-phase mode do you get Havoc Extinction. I think there's 3 versions of Skirk's elemental burst. So let's see. Skirk can move on water when she sprints. That's not really a huge thing, honestly. We have Furina at this point. Most people will have Furina, especially if you're getting Skirk, you'll have Furina. Although Yelan will be a very viable replacement for Furina, right? Skirk will exit this mode when Serpent Subtlety is fully depleted or its duration ends. So you could, okay, so maybe you can gain more Serpent Subtlety than you lose, and then you would, no, because as soon as you, nah, that doesn't work, because as soon as you lose your Serpent, or as soon as you exit the 7-phase mode, you lose all Serpent Subtlety. So yeah. So we're looking for this to have a very short cooldown, by the way, because then the elemental skill will go on cooldown. This needs to have like a, I don't know, 7-second cooldown. Like a 10-second duration, 7-second cooldown, because the cooldown happens at the very end of your transformation. So hopefully we see that. Skirk elemental burst is not reliable. Yeah, sure, whatever. Okay. When Skirk has at least 50 Serpent Subtlety, she can expend all her Serpent Subtlety to unleash her elemental burst, ripping the space before her apart using rapid consecutive slashes that deal AoE cryo damage at the same time. The damage dealt by an instance of this elemental burst will be increased by every point of Serpent Subtlety over 50. When it does unleashed, up to 12 points can be counted for this purpose. So yeah, this is really tough, because like you want to really build up your Serpent Subtlety as much as possible, but can you, right? Like, where am I'm not seeing a way to like really gain Serpent Subtlety really easily, other than absorbing Void Rifts, which I'm not so sure recover all that much, right? So we'll have to see when it comes out, but I'm not like, super confident that this is going to look insanely amazing, right? When Skirk is in 7-phase mode, Havoc Ruin will be replaced by Havoc Extinction. Okay. And then Havoc Extinction, special elemental burst can be used without, okay, so you don't even have to consume Serpent Subtlety. Okay, so, but no, because then as soon as you end your normal normals, you lose all Serpent Subtlety. So yeah, after using it, Skirk will gain the All Shall Wither effect, which will last until 7 phase flash ends. After unlocking the passive, Talon Reason Beyond Reason, she can absorb in nearby void rifts. So yeah, sure, whatever. While All Shall Wither is active, every 0.1 seconds after Skirk's normal attack hits an opponent, that normal attack will deal increased damage. Every 0.1 seconds? So is this the longer you go, the more damage you'll do, maybe? Is that what they're trying to say? If she absorbed any void rifts while using Havoc Extinction, this normal attack damage will be further increased based on the number of rifts absorbed. This effect will be canceled when it's triggered 10 times. It has a trigger quota. Are you serious? Why? Why are we doing a trigger quota for Skirk, man? Like, just let her have the buff. Why? That's so... I hate trigger quotas. If I had to say one thing in this game, because let's be real, this effect will be canceled when it's triggered 10 times. If you're fighting AoE, that's going away in like 2 seconds, probably. Assuming this works the same as every other trigger quota, where if you hit multiple enemies, it counts for multiple, right? Not fun. No, I don't like this. But then again, maybe it's like a, you know, every 0.1 seconds you could trigger it, and then every single time you trigger it, and yeah, we'll see, man. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that already. I'm already looking at this like, so in AoE situations, we never use Havoc Extinction. We just don't. We just wait and just get the good burst, right? I don't know. Reason Beyond Reason, when she is nearby party members or cry or whatever, but a whole bunch of cry reactions except for Melt because they hate Melt. We get left Skirk. A void rift will be created near the opponent. The effect can be triggered once every 2.5. Oh, yeah, that's not super good, right? So you're already going to be needing to do quite a bit if we're being entirely honest. Now, this does still leave open the possibility of someone, you know, I don't know necessarily. Cryo Swirl might work, but I believe that she has another passive. Yeah, exactly this passive. So we'll go over that in a minute. But yeah, this is interesting. 3 void rifts created by Skirk herself can exist at once. Yeah, so cool. Skirk can use the following method to absorb nearby void rifts. Hits opponent with charge attack. Yeah, this is the first time we've actually seen this written out completely as a reason or as a way to absorb void rifts. So yeah, when she uses special elemental burst, Havoc Extinction. Okay, so if you use Havoc Extinction, you do absorb all the void rifts. So that would give you even more. It wouldn't cost any. I really don't like. Oh wait, each rift absorb will gain 8. So what, you go 45? Yeah, hold on. Let's say you have 3 on field, right? Let's say you have 3, you know, void rifts on field. You know, you hold your elemental skill. That's 45 stacks immediately. So you get 45 stacks immediately. Then you plus 8 again. That's 53. Then you plus 8 again, and then that's 61. And then plus 8 again. That's 69. So you're at 69 before what? It's how many was the maximum of that was available over? Up to 12 points. So we would need 72. So we would need 3 more Havoc. I don't know, but it does sound like you would be able to reach that maximum level. It does sound like it, right? Because again, you immediately E-skill, and it's just, I really don't know how I feel about them taking away all Serpent Subtlety as soon as you're done with the normals. I feel like that kind of hurts her pretty badly when they didn't need to hurt her in that way. Like, it would have just made her more fluid, right? It would have just made her more fluid, more easy to use, right? It wouldn't have made her like 10 times better or anything, and even if it did, she's Skirk, man. So yeah, this will be certainly interesting. I don't know, because right now I'm at 69. I need, oh no, oh, you only need 62. Oh yeah, I'm an idiot. Yeah, you only need 62. So as soon as you have 3 void rifts, you just hold your E-skill, absorb them all, you're at 62 stacks immediately, you throw down your burst, and that's max damage. So yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and you do still have a little left over, probably something, I don't know. All right, so let's start looking at this. When nearby Hydro party members hit Hydro attacks. When nearby Hydro party members, Hydro attacks hit opponents, or when nearby Cryo party members, apart from Skirk, hit opponents with Cryo attacks. So we can already tell now by the wording that Kazuha isn't going to work here. I was thinking maybe Kazuha could work. I saw it in a comment like, oh yeah, maybe Kazuha can work. He would technically be doing cryo damage. But no, it is actively saying only cryo party members that deal that specific elemental type of damage work. So like even Chaska wouldn't work, right? So if you had that sort of situation going on, maybe VV Shred Chaska, it wouldn't work. Sorry. Skirk will gain the Death Crossing effect for 20 seconds, maximum of 3 seconds, or maximum of 3 stacks. So, but wait, hold on, chat. Where we gotta, okay, each character can grant Skirk one. That sucks. that sucks. I was like, wait, hold on. Maybe like it's a 5-second cooldown and you can have Fiorina just take over, 2 stacks or something. Sad day, chat. So let's go ahead and look at this. It's gonna be pretty good. I could already tell by the I win to lose video. Yeah, Death Crossing stack increases normal attack damage by Skirk up to 70% basically. And this is going to be a true raw 70% damage buff to her damage like Nevi has. It is calculated separately. It's not just extra damage bonus. It's a pure 70% baseline extra damage, which is just going to make her so much better. And it's part of the reason why melt teams aren't really going to be useful for her, because this is just such a huge buff that you wouldn't want to miss it. And then obviously the same thing applies for the elemental burst. It's just a little 10% less. I don't get why it's 10% less. I don't know, balancing issues, man. They didn't want to make it too strong. When all when all party members are hydro or cryo, and if there is at least one hydro or one cryo character, your own party member's elemental skill is increased by 1. Yeah. That's I don't know if I need to tell you guys, but Fiorina uses elemental skill, and so does Miss Coffee, and those are their main damage dealers. And Skirk herself is using elemental skill, elemental skill level, just not elemental skill damage, right? So yeah, overall Skirk is looking very, very strong. She's looking very, very unique. I do think this is Genshin never fails to make their characters unique. I'm gonna be honest, they really do not. They make sure. Is this 14,000 damage from it? Like, I swear we don't see that high of numbers normally when we're going with that. So yeah, Skirk's very strong. And I do have one thing other to look at. We have her sword here. So significantly boosts attack and crit damage. Now, significantly boosting attack here is important because Skirk doesn't have an attack buffer, right? So depending on what her base attack is, we could be sitting at close to 1,000 attack. I'll just assume that she's at 1,000 attack, and then she's getting 22% crit rate, along with 15% from cryo resonance, along with maybe MH if you're using that on her, or just in general cryo stuff. She'll just have crit rate, right? So that's gonna be pretty good for her. So it's gonna be pretty good that she has 22% crit rate. And then let's see, elemental skill is used, attack is increased by 24%. So well, that would count if she held her E, so that would will be fine. During this time, when equipping character has 0 energy, attack will be further increased by 24%, and crit damage will be increased by 40%. Yeah, that's very good. Guys, it's very good. Like, duh. It's very good. 48% attack is really good. 480 attack, that's a third of a Bennett buff, right? And then 40% crit damage is unmatched because literally nothing else, like, there's no character. Well, there's no character that gives you 40% crit rate. No, Miss Coffee C1, right? But it's 40% crit damage. It's good. It's just flat out good. Chat. Surprise news. 40% crit damage is good. So yeah. Let me know if you guys like this video. I'm kind of on the edge of like just getting rid of these kind of videos because breaking down a character's kit, we already kind of know a lot about this character. It's it's cool to see her animations and stuff, but it wasn't really like a huge insane thing. I don't know. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.